Team USA versus the world. It appears it's going to happen All-Star Weekend, and why this could be positively devastating for American basketball. Well, we'll weigh in on that decision, plus a new Phoenix Suns head coach and what it means for the trade front. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. Turn on those notifications. Right now, about 70% of you watching this, you're not subscribed. Let's fix that. Hit that subscribe button. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, finally, we know who the head coach of the Phoenix Suns is going to be. The funny thing, though, is everybody's like, yeah, we know who the coach is going to be. Now get on to the Kevin Durant trade already, will you?
Yeah, that's what I'm most excited about too. I'm most excited about the aftermath. Like, what does this mean for KD? You know, they said they wanted to get the trade done first. I'm actually interested in the fact that Booker was pretty heavily involved in this, from what I'm hearing, and that's interesting too, because we didn't think they would trade him, but if they wanted to get back some of their picks, there was talk about like a Houston trade, things like that. That tells me they probably don't plan on doing it, and he's probably not asking out. So I think the implications around this are the most intriguing part. But huge congratulations to him, of course.
Yeah, Jordan Ott winding up now being the new head coach of the Phoenix Suns. Former Lakers assistant, was an assistant coach with the Cavs last year. Kenny Atkinson was coach of the year for the Cavs, and Jordan Ott was credited for a lot of the Cavs' rise, despite their struggles in the playoffs and their untimely exit. They did have an incredible season. The Cleveland Cavaliers did, finishing first in the Eastern Conference. So Jordan Ott will become the new head coach of the Phoenix Suns. As you mentioned, Devin Booker was involved in that decision-making process. He's not going anywhere. The Suns don't want to trade him. However, this was considered to be a hurdle that had to be cleared before the Phoenix Suns were going to trade Kevin Durant. So now Jordan Ott will be the coach in Phoenix, and he's also a first-time head coach. Now, it's not out of the ordinary. It does happen where you hire a first-time head coach for a team that's ready to try to win right now, but more often than not, a first-time head coach, you're going to come in with some lowered expectations. We're going to see this team do what they can to get, as you said, Donnie, some of their draft capital back. That's going to be one of their goals in the Kevin Durant trade, as well as potentially finding a center. So now the Suns can move forward and look to trade KD. You mentioned Houston. I don't know, Donnie, it seems like there's reporting out there right now that the Suns are going to have in the range of 4 to 6 very serious suitors for Kevin Durant. Where do you think he ultimately lands?
Oh, that's that's a tough question. You know, it talked about like the Giannis thing in a video I did while you were gone, which, by the way, welcome back. Happy to have you. I missed you. So anyway, yeah, I talked about it there, and I was like, you know, funny enough, like there's all these different potential suitors for Giannis, but I think that KD could fit in all the same places, just obviously to a lesser extent. You're not going to trade as much for him; he's older, etc. Right? So that being said, I could see him like in a Toronto, which we're recently talking about. I could see him in a number of places, but maybe San Antonio, if they somehow don't get Giannis, pivots towards trying to get him instead. I'm curious if Victor is also potentially putting pressure on them to try to win. I'm not really sure about all of that. And if they go and swing for a KD, that would tell me that they're trying to do everything they can, because he is the ultimate, like, your window is right now.
Win now.
So
yeah, no, and the reporting from this morning, I already talked about this a little bit, was that Kevin Durant's team has interest in going to the San Antonio Spurs. But again, there's expected to be a number of teams interested. The important thing, though, is the Suns, they wanted to check this box. Congratulations to Jordan Ott, of course. I don't mean to gloss over that. I think he's a very talented coach, and hopefully he has plenty of success in Phoenix. But Jordan Ott becoming the coach, now the Suns can check that box. Now, next on their to-do list is trading Kevin Durant, and they got 3 weeks to do it because they want to do it before the draft so they can use draft capital that they receive in the Durant trade to add young talent to their roster. And the teams that are in the mix for KD, we talk about the Spurs. They've got the 14th pick. We look at a team like the Houston Rockets with the 10th pick. They're going to try to target some of those maybe late lottery picks for Kevin Durant, plus get some talent back if they can, and then move their franchise forward that way. Will be interesting to see. As you mentioned, the Toronto Raptors, they may make sense as a landing spot, but now Phoenix, they're going to go full bore into Kevin Durant trade, and I would be shocked if we get all the way through the draft and Kevin Durant is still a Phoenix Sun. I don't think that's going to happen. He's going to get traded somewhere else.
No, I don't think there's any chance of that happening, unless it's like he gets traded right after the draft. But I don't expect that to happen, because I mean, I think that it was pretty clear that he wants out now after they tried to trade him, and the fact that it hasn't worked over there in the last couple of years. I'm pretty positive that he wants out at this point. So
Yeah.
I think they probably would prefer to move on too and do what they can to just retool the team around Booker and Beal, of course, and go from there.
The Bradley Beal, the afterthought at this point in Phoenix. But important news, though, the Suns, they've hired their coach. Now, Kevin Durant train is coming sooner rather than later. But let's take a look at this. The All-Star format once again changing. And this is, well, it's what we have been asking for a while, a Team USA versus the world format. It's coming. Adam Silver confirms it. Check this out.
Is that something that we will see possibly next year as you continue to try to tinker with the weekend?
Yes. So next year, as part of our new media deals, the All-Star Game returns to NBC, where it was when we were younger. And it so happens that next season we'll be smack in the middle of the Winter Olympics. In fact, the game will be on NBC, and the very day we're on, there'll be the lead-in will be Winter Olympic events, and then coming out of the All-Star Game, which is now going to be in the afternoon instead of the evening, there'll be more Olympic events. So what better time to feature some form of USA against the world? I'm not exactly sure what the format will be yet. I mean, obviously paid a lot of attention to what the NHL did with the
Which was a huge success.
Which was a huge success.
The Frozen Four. That was awesome.
It was great.
But also, going back, last summer, our Olympic competition was a huge success. I mean, those games, USA, Serbia, USA,
I love
France.
watching it.
And by the way, to
I'm
your
obsessed
point
with it.
about the European style,
Yeah.
I mean, a more physical style basketball, a 40-minute game, which
is
I won't
why we
reference
didn't
again.
blow
because
the 40-minute game.
It happened to be a 40-minute game in the Olympics,
Keep 12-minute quarters.
but yeah, we're not changing it. But
Thank
it was, but I think that's another example.
Okay, so first and foremost, I thought that was good that Adam Silver kind of, put the kibosh on the whole, we're going to go to a 40-minute NBA game. He said, we're not going to change that. So first of all, that's in and of itself great.
Wasn't it 40 last year?
Yeah, well, they talked about it a little bit because that's the Olympics style. It's a 40-minute game. I don't think it would fly in the NBA. Maybe it's a way to avoid, load management a little bit or whatever. They're not doing it. They're not doing it. But Adam Silver confirming it's going to be USA versus the world in the All-Star game next year. And exactly how that's going to work voting-wise, they haven't figured all that out yet. The logistics, they still got to figure that out. But because the Winter Olympics are going to be going on, they're going to do USA versus the world. And number one, Donnie, I think this is a wonderful idea. I think they've tried for years to breathe life back into the All-Star game. It hasn't worked out. They tried it again last year. It didn't work with their tournament style and all that kind of stuff. The players do not care about the All-Star game. That's the bottom line problem with the All-Star. The players don't care. And I'm not trying to place all the blame on the players, but the problem is the players don't care. If the players care, fans will also care. If players don't care and they don't play hard, nobody's going to care about the All-Star game. So does USA versus the world change that dynamic? Donnie, does it solve the problem that the NBA has with the All-Star game?
Well, the underlying fact is still the same. You were just saying, like, if they get out there and basically still don't care and lay an egg, then it is what it is. I mean, I don't know if the All-Star game is salvageable. They've been trying to find a way to fix this over the last few years and doing all this different stuff really for a bit longer than that. They've been trying to find different gimmicks to where, they're trying to make it interesting. And I thought the tournament style last year was interesting, but I thought we only really had one competitive game. And aside from that, it kind of was whatever. Guys kind of reverted to doing what they were doing. I thought the Elam had its moments.
Yeah.
I thought at first, the team captain stuff was cool. But it kind of ran dry towards the end. So I don't really know. But I think that with this, it's interesting because I think the most interesting thing about it is the potential drafting process. Like, does that mean that we have to change the vote? All that stuff.
I would assume you do away with the draft.
Like, I don't even know. Like, it just
you don't
it's
need
weird. Or drafting system. But I meant the team building process. Like, are you putting 2 or 3 guys on the back of each roster that doesn't really deserve to be there? How big are these rosters? Like, I don't know.
Like,
do
you wind up with guys making the team simply because they're an international player, whereas a more talented player should be there, or vice versa? We saw. Remember when they used to do positionally, and that mattered so much more. Like, there was the year. I apologize to him, but Jamal McGlure should have never been an NBA All-Star, right? Like, but that happened because there wasn't another center to put on the roster. So Jamal McGlure winds up becoming an NBA All-Star. It's happened. Could you wind up with guys who aren't deserving? Sure, that could be the downside of the system. But I'll tell you what really concerns me about this, Donnie. And by the way, I am overall for this. But what's concerning is I think this is going to shine a spotlight on just how far ahead the world players are in the NBA. I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is what it would look like. This is what we're talking about. This is the starting five for the what? Now, this is a year old, this graphic. Thank you, Reddit, for this graphic. But this is a year old. But still, SGA, Giannis, Joker, Luka, Wemby. That's the world team. That's the world team. You look at, what has it been? 6-7 years that the MVP has been an international player. And then you look at the U.S. team, Durant, LeBron, Curry. These guys are all up there in years. Anthony Davis, will he be healthy at that point? I don't know. Jason Tatum's in this image. He's already not going to be healthy. We already know that. I think the world team on paper is just going to lap Team USA. And it's not going to be a great look for American basketball when it's Team USA against the world in the All-Star game.
I think it's going to come down to effort from which team is going to kind of buckle down first and try to do
which team do you think is more likely to play hard?
Team USA.
You think Team USA is more likely to actually go out there, take it serious, and play? That it'll be a patriotic pride thing?
You could say that, but I think the reason why is because I'd expect a guy like LeBron potentially playing in his last All-Star game in LA to probably go out there and try to win the MVP. So he's going to be, I think, competing pretty hard. And when LeBron, brings that energy, I'd assume that some of the other guys will follow with him as well. And I think that's more or less how it's going to be. But, competitiveness is a thing. And I'm sure that the other team would be like, we don't like this. Let's kind of buckle down too. And then it's going to get tight at some point. Right. But yeah, I think that's probably the case. But otherwise, without that factor, I would say that I think that the other team would be more likely. I guess it maybe also depends who's out there. Because
what if we go Rasheed Wallace and both teams play hard?
Well, I guess that works. Well, the guy like Ant, for example, I think he's got a lot of pride, and if he's out there, I think he's going to try to,
slot him in Tatum's spot in this image for sure.
Yeah. So, I think that also matters. It depends on who's playing to a degree.
I just think the world team. I mean, look, you've got
the world team MVP. Is better, though.
You got the reigning MVP. Luka is a perennial MVP candidate. Wemby will be an MVP candidate. Giannis is one MVPs. Like the world team, I think the world team has more talent on it. Could Team USA come together and win? Sure, they could. But I think if both teams do indeed play hard, it will wind up shining a spotlight on the fact that Team USA's guys are getting older and they still have yet to truly create the next stars. And I'll tell you this, a lot rests on the shoulders of Anthony Edwards right now, more than Team USA, when we're talking about like Olympic play and all that, would have ever hoped at this point, because they were hoping by now, Ben Simmons would be a big thing right now, right? That didn't work out. That John Morant would be a big thing right now. Zion Williamson would be a big thing right now. Has not happened. Cooper Flag, maybe? I
but that needs time.
That needs time, absolutely. Yeah. But Team USA right now is in a tough spot. So that would be my fear, is that this is going to wind up shining a spotlight on what's happening with Team USA and a transition away from the older guys towards the younger guys. And amongst the younger crop, aside from Ant Edwards, I mean, there's not a lot there for Team USA to be super excited about right now in this moment. At least there's not a lot there where you say that guy is going to lead Team USA into the future. I don't know if that guy exists right now.
Yeah, I don't think you're looking at it like that so much, where there's like a lot of guys that are going to be comparable to the guys there, but you do have other great players in circulation for the USA team, like a Jaylen Brown, AD, Dame, if those guys are healthy, although they're both a little bit older. Same with Kai. You've got Ant. Sure. You've got some fun players like Jaren Jackson or Hero, Brunson. You've got some guys, but you don't got a lot of guys that can compete with what that other team has. Fun fact on the MVP award, they've got every MVP dating all the way back to 17-18 when Harden won it on that team. The only one that they don't have is Embiid in 22-23. And Embiid is like a wild card because he could go to either team, but I'd assume he'd be on USA if he's healthy and playing, of course.
Yeah, he did play for Team USA in the Olympics, but is he healthy? But yeah, you're right. I mean, the last 7 MVPs, depending on how you view Embiid, have all been international players.
Yep.
And the guys before that are all aging out. James Harden, right? Here's the previous MVPs. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James. Derrick Rose is already gone. Obviously, we get into Kobe Nowitzki's and all that. And obviously, Russell Westbrook's not going to be that guy. I mean, look, this is the dominant era of the international player. By the way, Donnie, we have a little bit of, speaking of Team USA and the future and all that, we've got a little bit of breaking news here. Joe Dumars, talking about Zion Williamson, said, Joe Dumars talking about Zion Williamson says, I've had some real honest conversations with him, some real direct and honest conversations. We're going to go forward with Zion. The New Orleans Pelicans publicly saying they are not trading Zion Williamson and they're going to move forward with him as the face of their franchise. That maybe is a whole nother show we need to do.
Yeah.
But that, you know what? Like if Zion happens to be healthy next season, he could certainly change the dynamic of this image when we're talking about Team USA versus the world, because Zion, based on talent, Zion's in that mix. Based on talent, Zion is in that mix, and that could certainly shift things a bit as well.
Yeah, for sure. He's I don't want to say every bit as talented as some of these guys, of course, but he's in that mix, right? Like he's a super talented player. His problem is that he just is never out there. So if he's out there and he's healthy and he's playing, then for sure, I think that does shake this up. I've got a lot to say about the other thing, like the rest of it, but yeah, Zion's interesting for sure.
All right. Any final thoughts on Team USA versus the world then?
No, not really. I think it's interesting, but I think that if this doesn't work, I just don't know what the pivot is from here. Like, is this your be all end all? Last year, you were a pretty big proponent of just scrap it if it doesn't work last year, but you know, they didn't decide to do that. So I do wonder what you do from here.
Yeah, I mean, I thought if last year didn't work, what do you do? This like really, you're starting to run out of ideas. If Team USA versus the world doesn't get players to play hard, I don't just make the final. Make the final of the in-season tournament, All-Star Weekend. Yeah, do the dunk contest, do the 3-point shootout.
Yeah, or you've got to do one of those things that people always say, like give like home court advantage or something like that.
That's too much, though, I think.
It is a lot. I know it is a lot, but I think if you really are dead set on keeping it, you've got to fight. You've got to make it worth it, I guess, because money just isn't worth it. The charity stuff just isn't worth it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not enough money. Like the in-season tournament is apparently enough money because the guys compete in that.
Well, also because they can get the other guys paid. You remember LeBron said that they wanted to go out there and win it for the other guys that don't get all that much money.
The end of the bench guys, yeah.
Yeah, like that's what it is. That's the real big difference there. So I don't know. But enough money, I don't know what that is for when you're talking about guys making as much money as these guys.
Clearly. And for some fans, that's off-putting. That's off-putting. The fact that there has to be a number that you hit in order for guys to play hard. But
that's true.
That's a conversation for another day. Everybody give us your thoughts in the comments down below. Jordan Ott, now the coach of the Phoenix Suns. That means Kevin Durant, the clock is ticking. His time in Phoenix just about up. And then Team USA versus the world coming to the All-Star game. Will this finally save the All-Star game for the NBA? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe right here. Until next time, see ya and stay safe.